generations have left to seek their fortunes elsewhere. But for now, mothers persist in handing down their language, songs, and stories, preserving ancient traditions in a world that's racing into the future beyond its pristine shores. And this is Mandy from GoodNewsGoodPlanet.com.
Good morning. You're listening to Screen Reflections. This is your host, Michael Bergeron. This morning on Screen Reflections, we've got a really great show. We're talking to a couple of directors. We're talking to three people. We're going to explore some films that had world premiere and regional premieres at the Austin Film Festival. The first up will be the film Sellout, which is directed by Josh and Nick Holden. Nick also stars in the film, and it's a wonderful comedy. It's going to really appeal to a lot of people. It's about a writer who's successful, but as he starts his next novel, he's got serious writer's block. And we kind of follow him in Austin as he's trying to navigate the way through his dysfunctional family and friends, and meeting with people who want him to write a novel. He want to write a ghost write a novel, and he also goes to Lafayette, Louisiana, where we meet some more dysfunctional friends and family. Let's go ahead and just jump into that interview.
As actors studying acting, and on the first film we made, we both acted in it, and Nick is just a better actor, so I had to yield to that and say, I'm better kind of with the camera and editing and things like that, a lot of times. So, we like to write everything, and Nick's a really good actor, so he didn't want to play it, and we had to beg him to be the lead.
Well, and there's also you have different family members portrayed by actors, but I thought one of the things that occurred to me was like, that looks like that could be his mom in real life, and it turns out it was your mom and your daughter.
Right. Yeah. Correct. You want to talk about that, Nick?
Oh no, I mean our mom. We had her audition and she did. Really good, and we thought it would be really special. She studied acting for a long time. She kind of got us into all this. And then my daughter when she was like 7, she was like, Dad, I really want to be in one of your movies, and I want to do a scene with you, and I want to sing a song. So that was a lot of the motivation to make this film happen. So when it came time, we did some test shoots with her, and she still wanted to do it, and she did great. And then and everyone really loved the test shoot, so I was really grateful to her because I didn't, know where to even begin to start looking for another, kid to play my kids. So I owe my daughter one for sure.
The film was shot in Austin, and there's a lot of familiar Austin places. Some of which I've seen in other films, like Boyhood. I think used that same Mexican restaurant.
Oh, okay.
That's great. I didn't realize that.
But how is that Mexican restaurant is on Congress, right?
No, it's on Guadalupe.
Oh, okay. So, tell me about just choosing Austin locations. Were these like the places that you guys normally go, or is it pretty easy to just get the cooperation of people in Austin? It's a real filmmaking town.
Yeah, we had, Jennifer Kuchai was one of our producers, and she has a lot of great relationships with people, and, we just kind of were really patient. We were lucky in that because I was the lead, we had some flexibility with our shoot days, so we would kind of just really wait till we got the perfect location. I mean, that is, I guess, one thing with indie films. You have some, you can keep looking and looking and looking and looking, and because we weren't needing to shoot me out, because I was the lead, we just kind of were patient and kept waiting, and we found the perfect spot, and we feel like we got really lucky with our locations with this film, and people were really accommodating for the most part, and we pulled a lot of favors for all those. So we really do love the way the film looks and the locations. It was a big part of it.
And there were definitely a couple of spots we frequent all the time, like Patica, which is the coffee shop.
Yeah, we probably wrote half the movie at Patica.
And we got to film there. That was really special.
Now, does Patica have more than one location?
It has multiple locations. That was our favorite location, and it closed.
Oh,
so I'm glad we have that, kind of captured on film forever.
Where was that one located?
South Lamar.
Okay. So the film Sellout, it's about an author who has published books and is successful, but he's kind of hit a writer's block, and he's unsure what he's going to do for his next novel. Meanwhile, there's a series of kind of comic episodes where he's being approached by various donors who want to hire him to write kind of ghostwrite books.
Yeah, totally. And, for us, it was you asked me kind of like how that came about, or
Yeah.
I think as writers and filmmakers and artists, there's a constant kind of struggle with taking other jobs all the time to kind of pay the bills and working a lot on things that don't always align perfectly with what you want to do as an artist, and you're kind of frequently asking yourself is this selling out or is this surviving? And you're having to kind of play that card. So we just kind of amplified it a bit with that character. As a hodgepodge of a lot of different people we've interacted with throughout Austin in our time here.
And I found the film very funny, and I thought it had a wonderful comic tone. In fact, it wasn't unlike say 70s or 80s films by Woody Allen or Albert Brooks, where you have this protagonist who's kind of stumbling through his current situation. Was that an inspiration, or how do you guys direct together?
I'd say that was definitely an inspiration. We love screwball comedy. We love, Billy Wilder and a lot of Cary Grant. Cary Grant was a big inspiration for this film and for Nick's character. And, we do love screwball comedy and older screwball comedy. So it's been a mission. It's just been a goal of ours, a challenge really of how do you take that screwball comedy from back in the olden days and modernize it. So that was our effort with this film.
Yeah, and we did do tone-wise. Me and Josh started just doing some test shoots, just me and him. I was just playing the character to kind of get a feel for the character and the tone, and we were going to maybe try to get some other actor to play the role. But when we started doing that, I kind of knew we weren't going to stop, and we were going to just do one scene. We ended up doing 12 or 15 scenes, and we cut together a 10-minute piece that really kind of captured the tone. And that's the one thing we've been doing as brothers, is trying to really find our Holden brothers tone, not so much as a drama or comedy, but that's what we've been working on the last 15 years. And so I think that kind of, we called it like a character, what do we call it, like a tone piece, or I forget how
yeah, it's kind of a tone piece. We really thought we were, on our first film, it was super low budget, and we kind of found the tone a couple days into film, and so for this one we thought, man, we really want to hone in our tone as much as possible before we even start making this movie. And so it was really helpful to make that. We were just on a character piece.
And we were listening to Josh Holden and Nick Holden, the directors, and Nick Holden, star of the movie Sellout. You want to look for this film. It had its world premiere last night at the Austin Film Festival, and it will be popping up somewhere in your future. And next up, we have Bryan Poyser, who is the director of Leeds. Leeds is a kind of a comedy. It's kind of a drama. It's about a brother and sister relationship. It's a wonderful film. It is having its regional premiere in Texas tomorrow at the, or rather Sunday at the Austin Film Festival. It previously world premiered at the Tribeca Festival. Bryan Poyser has directed films like Lovers of Hate, Dear Pillow, both of which were nominated for the Spirit Indie Awards, and he's also a professor of film at Texas State University, which is in San Marcos. Based out of Austin, let's listen to Bryan.
That's right.
Tell me how you got involved with directing this film.
This is my fourth feature. The first feature I made was 20 years ago. The last feature I made was 10 years ago, and in that time I have become a teacher. I'm an associate professor of practice at Texas State University in their theater and film department, and so I really wanted to make another film, another feature. I had done, in that 10-year interim between the last feature and this one, I directed some television. I wrote an episode of TV that was on HBO. I made short films, but really, had the itch to get back in front of the camera, or behind the camera, and make a movie, a long-form story. And so I had been developing a number of scripts that kind of just weren't going anywhere. They were kind of like bigger projects, and I basically decided, well, I have a lot of great resources at Texas State because we have this growing film program. We've gotten all this great equipment recently. I had access to a bunch of awesome students because we're in the theater department, so we've got some great actors there that I had seen in other student films. And I had, relationships with a number of great Austin-based actors like Heather Kafka and Justin Arnold, who played the two lead characters in this movie. And so I just kind of decided I'll build something around them. So I kind of very quickly in September of 2023, that's when I kind of decided I was going to make something during my winter break from teaching. And I was like, well, the campus is going to be empty over winter break, so I can, if I set up the story on a college campus, we can shoot there for free, can shoot at my house for free. A number of other, a bar that the lead actor Justin Arnold works at, we can shoot there too. And so I just kind of built a story around these available elements, and then kind of hurtled into making it without a script or a full budget or a real idea of where it was going to go, because we kind of shot it in order, in story order, which is very rare for a movie. Usually you shoot out all the locations one by one, even though the story scenes take place at different times in the story, but because I was able to kind of like own the locations, we could kind of shoot it from beginning to end, and so kind of got a chance to develop the story that way.
And the movie Leeds, Heather plays an acting coach, and
Yes.
Her brother, kind of a prodigal brother, returns.
Yeah.
But then it's there's a bit of drama in it, but there's also a bit of comedy, because it's like all of a sudden he's the one that the casting director is interested in.
Yeah. So that was kind of the idea, was that he was going to be this, he's this person who just kind of like floats through life and constantly changes his mind about what he wants to do. He's like, I'm going to be a rodeo clown. I'm going to be a firefighter. I'm going to be, work at an airport, and a lot of these sort of jobs that he has throughout the story are maybe not real. He just sort of like makes it up. And so once he kind of lands back in his sister's home, which is sort of like, a realm of stability in his kind of chaotic life, he sees what she's doing. He sees that, she's like making money, like doing dumb commercials, making good money. He's like, oh, that looks super easy. How about I become an actor? And invades her class and causes all kinds of chaos, but connects with the students in a way that she is not necessarily able to, because he's kind of a big, goofy kid himself. and yeah, it kind of catches the eye of this director that the lead actress sort of like, kind of made a film with that was successful, that launched his career but didn't really do the same thing for her. And so he comes into town and kind of gets roped in by the charisma of the brother and kind of gives him an opportunity that she's been angling for herself for years. And he just kind of gets it effortlessly, which drives her nuts.
And there's this kind of vibe to the movie. I was thinking of the movie You Can Count on Me, which was kind of also about a kind of brother-sister relationship. And it's not the same movie, but there is that kind of relationship between them.
Yeah, and when I was kind of trying to decide what this movie was going to be, very quickly, I thought about I knew that Justin and Heather, because I'd worked with them before, even in a short film that we had done together a few years back. They'd worked together individually in other projects too, and I was like, okay, if I can center the movie around them, because they're super talented, and I felt I could carry something, it's like, okay, what are they going to be? So it's like, they could be lovers or something, but that also seemed sort of boring or overdone, and, there's not that many sibling movies out there, but because I have, a sister that I'm very close with, and, even the, both Heather and Justin have siblings too, and we sort of decided, okay, let's mine that, mine shaft of feelings and resentment and, competitiveness and the sort of shared language that they have, and because, grew up with somebody, the trauma around childhood and, bad parenting that they both have sort of been bearing the scars of, and so movies like You Can Count on Me, or like this great movie The Savages, that's sort of from a similar era, were real inspirations, but also, of course, personal experiences, not just my own, but also theirs too.
And the two actors, Heather Kopka and Justin Arnold, if you see a lot of films, you would have noticed them in a lot of productions. A lot of them shot in Austin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Justin, he got his first kind of big role, actually, in Spike Jonze, the guy who did Her, and being John Malkovich, he did this project with Arcade Fire. It's like this sort of long-form music video that they made several years back based on that album, The Suburbs. So he made this short film called Scenes of the Suburbs, and so kind of right out of the gate, Justin is working with major director Spike Jonze, and then he's since then been in movies that have played at Sundance and been on TV shows, and and then Heather, I first saw her when she played Leatherface's sister in the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out in 2004, and I just went to that at the movie theater and remember sitting there thinking who is this crazy, terrifying person who's very small but really scary. And then I got a chance to audition her just a few years later for my film Lovers of Hate that went to Sundance. And she got to show a completely different side of her personality. But since then, she's worked with people like David Gordon Green. She was in that movie Joe with what's his name, Nicolas Cage, that shot in Austin. She was on The Leftovers. She was in that series The Sun that shot here. So she's just kind of I think she's got close to 100 credits on IMDb for roles in short films and features and TV shows and all kinds of stuff that she's been doing over the years, and is just an awesome actor that had never been given the chance to be the lead in a movie. When she showed up on the first day on set, she was like, "Oh, I'm number one on the call sheet for the very first time," meaning she's the one who's in the most number of scenes, shoots the most number of days, which she'd never had that experience before, and the movie is kind of it's all about that. It's all about sort of being undersung and sort of underestimated, but having a fierceness to you that finally get a chance to show. So.
And And you mentioned Lovers of Hate, and that film and another one of your films, Dear Pillow, were both nominated for Spirit Awards, which is kind of like the Indie Academy Award celebration every year.
Yeah, they happen. It happens usually the day before the Oscars. Not always, but usually. So sometimes, if you go, which I got a chance to do a couple times because I got nominated, you'll sometimes see the same celebrities tell the same jokes. they try out the joke at the Spirit Awards, and then if it does well, they'll do it again at the Oscars. But
okay, we were listening to Bryan Poyser talking about his film Leads, and you want to keep that film in mind because it's really good. It's just having its regional premiere on Sunday at the Austin Film Festival. You'll be hearing about that film somewhere down the road. I want to remind you that we are in our pledge month here at KPFT. We are a listener-supported radio station. We want you to call in and make a pledge. Our number at KPFT is 713-526-5731, extension 1. Right now, I want to play a clip from the Orson Welles War of the Worlds broadcast. Now, the broadcast itself is about an hour long, so we're only going to sample a little bit of it because we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left in the show today. War of the Worlds was broadcast on October 30th, 1938, and Welles was so ahead of his time. It's kind of like reality TV, where he was juxtaposing studio bands with live newscast and recreating the idea that there was a Martian invasion going on. Let's just cut into War of the Worlds.
This is probably a meteorite of unusual size, and its arrival at this particular time is merely a coincidence. However, we shall conduct a search as soon as daylight permits.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 10 minutes, we've been speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton, bringing you a special interview with Professor Pearson, noted astronomer. This is Carl Phillips speaking. We are returning you now to our New York studio.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. Toronto, Canada. Professor Morse of Macmillan University reports observing a total of 3 explosions on the planet Mars between the hours of 7:45 p.m. and 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This confirms earlier reports received from American observatories. Now, nearer home, comes a special bulletin from Trenton, New Jersey. It is reported that at 8:50 p.m., a huge flaming object, believed to be a meteorite, fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred miles, and the noise of the impact was heard as far north as Elizabeth. We have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene, and we'll have our commentator, Carl Phillips, give you a word picture of the scene as soon as he can reach there from Princeton. In the meantime, we take you to the Hotel Martinet in Brooklyn, where Bobby Millett and his orchestra are offering a program of dance music. We take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl Phillips again, out at the Wilmouth Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Professor Pearson and myself made the 11 miles from Princeton in 10 minutes. Well, I hardly know where to begin. To paint for you a word picture of the strange scene before my eyes, like something out of a modern Arabian Nights. Well, I just got here. I haven't had a chance to look around yet. I guess that's it. Yes, I guess that's the thing directly in front of me, half buried in a vast pit. Must have struck with terrific force. The ground is covered with splinters of a tree. It must have struck on its way down. But I can see the object itself doesn't look very much like a meteor. At least not the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge cylinder. Has a diameter of, what would you say, Professor Pearson?
What's that?
What would you say, what's the diameter of this?
About 30 yards.
About 30 yards. The metal on the sheath is, well, I've never seen anything like it. The color is sort of yellowish white. It's curious Spectators now are pressing close to the object in spite of the efforts of the police to keep them back. Getting in front of my line of vision. Would you mind standing one side, please? While the policemen are pushing the crowd back. Here's Mr. Wilmot, owner of the farm here. He may have some interesting facts to add. Mr. Wilmot, would you please tell the radio audience as much as you remember of this rather unusual visitor that dropped in your backyard? A step closer, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Wilmot.
Well, I was listening to the radio.
Closer and louder, please.
Pardon me?
Louder, please, closer.
Yes. I was listening to the radio and kind of drowsing. That professor fellow was talking about Mars, so I was half dozing and half...
Yes, Mr. Wilmot, and then what happened?
Well, as I was saying, I was listening to the radio, kind of halfway.
Yes, Mr. Wilmot, and then you saw something.
Well, not first off. I heard something.
And what did you hear?
A hissing sound like this. Kind of like a 4th of July rocket.
Yes, then what?
I turned my head out the window and would have sworn I was asleep and dreaming.
Yes?
I seen a kind of greenish streak and then zingo. Something smacked the ground, knocked me clear out of my chair.
Well, were you frightened, Mr. Wilmot?
Well, I ain't quite sure.
We were listening to a clip from the War of the Worlds broadcast from 1938 by Orson Welles. It's hard to believe that radio broadcast caused pandemonium to break out. People actually thought that Martians were invading. Thank you for listening to Screen Reflections. We've got a couple more songs. We're going to wrap out the show with a song from Nightmare Before Christmas, Nightmare Before Elm Street. And this is your host, Michael Bergeron, on Screen Reflections. And a reminder, KPFT, this is our pledge month. So feel free to call in and donate some money to keep public radio alive. 713-526-5738. Extension 1 is the number here.
I sense there's something in the wind that feels like tragedies at hand, and though I'd like to stand by him, can't shake this feeling that I have. The worst is just around the bend, and does he notice my feelings for him? And will he see how much he means to me? I think it's not to be. What will become of my dear friend? Where will his actions lead us then? Although I'd like to join the crowd in their enthusiastic cloud, try as I may, it doesn't last. And will we ever end up together? No, I think not. It's never to become, for I am not the one.
That was Sally's song from Nightmare Before Christmas. And once again, we were listening to directors Josh Holden and Nick Holden from the movie Sellout, as well as director Bryan Poyser from the movie Leads. Tune in next week. We're going to have some more of the Orson Welles War of the Worlds and another interview from a world premiere at the Austin Film Festival, the movie Forelock. We'll be talking to Caleb Alexander Smith and David Krumholtz. Thank you very much for listening.
We will control all that you see and hear.
This is Future Primitive, and you can hear us each and every late Saturday night, early Sunday morning on 90.1 FM, KPFT, Houston.
KPFT is supported in part by McGonagall's Mucky Duck, 2425 Norfolk Street, Houston, Texas, who have donated tickets for Jesse Dayton on November 15th, Pat Byrne on November 21st, Kevin Russell December 5th, and Fred Eaglesmith on December 26th. For more information, kpft.org.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Tom and Levi.
Tom is the smartest man I know. He's been a professor at 2 major universities, been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, he told me that he was having problems in his classes. I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his